Okay, so this video is going to be about other reasons why I kind of worry about therapy. So I'm pretty sure in one of these videos I already mentioned, or at least I hope I did, the fact that since I went through mental health Munchausen, which is technically what you're always going to go through when you're a victim of the cash for kids system, and of course mental illness comes from trauma, so like it's all bull crappy and mess. But I already mentioned how since that was one of the biggest issues in my previous situation, that a therapist isn't going to want to admit what goes on in the field that they work in, or what the actual point of the field they work in is for, and how it's just another one of the parts of the cash for kids system. In fact, the mental health system is the biggest part of the cash for kids system. And yeah, anyway, so the therapist will want to gaslight and discredit you unless you actually have money to go to real actual therapy, where the person may even be in their own private practice and not even a part of the bigger system when it comes to the mental health system. Like there's some people that go into holistic mental health treatment and other stuff like that because they realize what the mental health system actually is. Like there's some people, well no, because if I go into that then I'll be somewhere else, but I already have a playlist with a video similar to that, or I don't know, I'll just link it in the description if I can find it, but I'm pretty sure I have a playlist about ex-psychiatrists and how they left their jobs and started doing other stuff and why they left and what they realized the system was. But anyway, this video is going to be about other things that I've seen in people who went to therapy that make me really worry about it. So, well, one, I'll start off with the fact that when you're under 18 and you're put in therapy and you're in your abuse situation where you're still developing your mental issues because you're just getting more and more messed up until the point where you can finally leave. So you're still developing your mental issues, and your abusers, which is going to be some guardian, is getting you put in the mental health system and they have you in therapy. Okay, wait a minute, because I got lost what I was trying to say. Anyway, so when you're under 18, the therapist's job is to side with your abusers and not listen to anything you have to say. And of course, you can't even get real therapy under 18. You can't get real therapy while still in the abuse situation anyway. It's not going to work. You can't heal in the situation that's messing you up anyway. And of course, when you're in the abuse situation still, whatever you're put in therapy for is going to be some bull crap. It's going to be something you were framed for, some untrue reason, some halfway told story, probably for some mental problem you don't have. And yeah, so that's how it is when you're under 18. The therapist's sole purpose is to side with your abusers and just get paid to pretend that you're the bad guy and all that. But once you turn 18 and you're 18 plus, the therapist's job is in to give you a victim complex and make you feel like you're going to be sick forever and everybody else is the bad guy. This is why abusers themselves can go sit in therapy and tell the story from their victim complex perspective, and the therapist will just sit there and nod their head and act like they're actually the victim. Like the person could be like, I'm starving my kids because I told them to do whatever and they didn't do it, and the therapist will just sit there and nod their head. And that makes me worried for a couple of reasons, because for one, it makes me feel like there's really no accountability or self-reflection in therapy. And then two, it's like kind of the first thing I already said. And it's really just a money game, really. That's what it seems like. And it's like the people I have met who went to therapy still are very non-self-aware, and they'll still play victim and act like you're just sensitive when you set boundaries with them. And it's like, what are people even doing in therapy? And it's really, really scary. And I guess it all falls under the fact that if you don't have money to pay for real therapy, you're not going to get real therapy. And you're just going to get something where you either are framed and gaslit and made to think you're the bad guy, or where there's no self-reflection. You're not really getting through anything. And even if you're not the abuser in the situation, you're still just be made to feel like you're nothing but a victim. And it's like you're not really working on anything. You're really just sitting there talking while somebody gets paid to listen. Or worse, you go through therapy abuse, and the therapist is like how mental health professionals commonly are, and they're pushing their weird little pedophile philosophies where they make you feel like your abuse wasn't that bad, or it was okay, or the therapist is trying to date you or something, and all the different mess that happens. So I guess that's kind of all I have to say. Maybe I'll make a part 2. Well, no. I think I could keep going though with the whole people I've met who went to. Oh yeah, I remember now. I remember. I've been wanting to say this for like I don't even know how many months now. I think even before I left my abuse situation, I wanted to mention this. But my older enabler sister, if anybody here remembers the whole abuse evidence video thing and you watched any of those and you saw how my older enabler sister was, she was the one who we all were living with. I don't know where everybody lives now. They probably all moved. But when I was last there, she was the sister whose house that everyone was living in. And all the mess was going on, and my mom's boyfriend was beating on her and her boyfriend's dog, which her being my older enabler sister was her dog. It wasn't our dog. And then she was acting like she didn't know he was tasing and choking the dog and stuff. And then she was always playing caretaker and emotional support pet for our mom. Whenever our mom would like create some crazy chaotic situation, she would help our mom play victim in it, and she would talk about how just all the different enabler stuff that enablers do. She actually went to therapy for her PTSD when she had moved into her own apartment, which was when she was, well, even before my other scapegoat sister that they drove crazy, even before she moved in with her, because there was one point in like 2016 to 2018 where they lived together or whatever. But basically, when she got away from our mom and she had got her own place, she actually went to therapy for her PTSD, which really would have been CPTSD anyway, about all the abuse that she went through. But of course, whenever this was talked about around our mom, she would just act like she went to therapy because she got PTSD from living in the hood we used to live in, where all different little usual hood mess used to happen. But of course, it wouldn't even be from that. She didn't even go outside, to be honest. So I don't. There's a lot I could say about that. That was honestly a weird excuse, but for going to therapy. But it's like the fact that she went to therapy for however long she went, and she still came out in denial, full of cognitive dissonance, and played narcissist enabler for our mom, and the shenanigans that other abusers in the situation play. So like my mom's boyfriend, even my dad sometimes, she didn't like our dad because she would put all her anger and stuff onto him after she switched it off for our mom, because she felt like our mom was kind of all the only parent she had because of all the mess with my dad and him not seeing anybody and all the, I don't even want to go into that. But anyway, the fact that she went to therapy and still was able to come out and play full-blown narcissist enabler in enabling an abuse situation, and even help my mom feel like she was a victim, and even help gaslight me, just makes me feel like, what is she doing in therapy? And even my other scapegoat sister that they drove crazy eventually, apparently at one point she went to some type of group therapy, and it's like I mean, did she even talk about any of her trauma? And it's like, what are people really even doing in therapy to still come out and play abuse enablers and run right back into their abuse situations way past 18 plus? So yeah, because I almost forgot about that. And I was really about to end the video too. And it's crazy because one of the people I know that went to therapy, and like whenever I set boundaries with them about certain things they do and say that I don't like or that I'm not okay with, and they'll just act like I'm sensitive and act like I'm just not accepting how they are or whatever in the world it was that they said. It was some crap like that. They're always talking about how therapy benefits people and all that, but it's like, I don't know. Did they go long enough? But yeah, all of that just makes me feel like really, really worried and skeptical towards what therapy actually is and what actually goes on when you go to therapy at 18 plus. Because I already know how it is under 18. Under 18, you can't get any real therapy or mental health treatment. The only times where I actually see it happen where it's like real or almost real anyway is when the kid got their trauma from somebody else. Somebody that's not a family friend or relative that the family's trying to cover up for. So like on a school shooting, or their teacher did whatever to them, or they were adopted by a family that just so happened to be a good family and they went to therapy for their previous trauma. Stuff like that. But other than that, you can't get therapy under 18, because if anybody remembers my previous situation, I was never even actually allowed to talk to my therapist or any of the other mental health professionals that were involved in whatever organization I was getting quote unquote therapy under. I wasn't allowed to talk to any of them, and they had never talked to me. And that's why there was this one point in time way back on, I don't know, the Part 4 channel or something, where one of the thumbnails for some of the videos was somebody saying that they don't understand how in the world any organization or whatever in the world would call themselves treating me while never actually talking to me. And they were telling me that that's actually medical malpractice, and that there was so much medical malpractice going on in my situation, it was insane. And then the only therapist I ever actually got to talk to was the last one. That was the one where my mom cut them off and threatened them because she felt like they called CPS about the Munchausen and all the other stuff. But yeah. Then there was that BetterHelp lady, but she wasn't actually my therapist. She just worked for the school, the school system. But I'll link the videos about that whole situation because I recently actually made some explaining all the mess that happened with her, because I kept forgetting to make a video actually explaining everything that went on with her. But basically, I don't even know where to start with that, so I'll just link the video because it was really something.